The TBM 900 taking off from Halfmoon Bay, going up to Rohnerville, California, and just doing a quick about 45-minute flight today. I'll show you what that's going to look like on the screen. Let's go here. All right. So we're sitting here at Halfmoon Bay. We're going to go to the Sausalito VOR. It's going to be a VFR flight today, all the way up the coast of California. There should be some nice sights here with the running the Orbx US Northern. I'm going to stay about 12,500 feet, so we don't get too high, so we can take advantage of that. Also set the custom weather today to take advantage of that, so we can see the Orbx in Northern California here. But going up to Rohnerville, California, and we'll make our landing here. And then along the way, any questions you guys have, feel free to ask me. So, all right, let's get started. Go ahead and close the doors. All right, first thing we do is we make sure all our switches are down. So we're just gonna quickly glance at everything, make sure everything's in the off position that's supposed to be off. Starter should be in the position that it is right there. Ignition should be on auto. Aux-B pump for the fuel is on the off position. That will be going on here shortly. And then fuel selector will be going auto. That automatically in the TBM switches over your fuel tank, so you don't manually have to set those fuel tanks when you're flying and worry about adjusting them as you run down on fuel. The autopilot switch will be coming on. This is your primary master for autopilot. Down here are all your anti-icing switches, and then we have our inertia separator that will actually be coming on here in a few minutes. We have our Garmin's are off right now. Our landing gear is down. We also want to look over here and make sure that the AC is in the off position. The bleeds are off. The fan is all the way down and the switches are set correctly. Coming over here, we can look at our alternate static, that those are set correctly. And then coming down to the right hand side here, you want to make sure that your fuses are in the normal position, that everything's pushed out, that nothing is popped, and you're good there. And this is all actually modeled correctly in this plane for X-Plane, so you do have to check that. You pop this panel here just by clicking it, and then you want to make sure this button is down. This is your handle that you use for manually setting down the landing gear if something should happen. So you can see how detailed this plane is. You even got coffee holders here, so give one to your co-pilot there too. Over on this side, you have your Bose headset, and you can actually put that on, and it decreases the volume while you're in the airplane. Usually when I'm doing these streams, I have my volume set like I want them, so you get a little bit of background noise of the engine without being too loud. So I don't put this on because it's going to readjust that. In the back, you want to make sure that the table's stowed. You can see it comes out. That's part of your checklist. And then that your doors are closed. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put the bar up, and then you'll start seeing things light up here in just a second. I'll adjust volumes here as we go, depending if we can hear everything, or if it's the right volume for you guys. So. So it's going to go through its checks, and then it'll let us know that the check is correct. So that will come up here next. There we go. Oral warning, okay. So that's what you should hear. And then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and go down here. Just make sure that everything looks correct. If the plane was just used, some of these parameters might be moved in a position where it wouldn't be advising takeoff. If you have the messages set up, the warnings in this plane set up in the left-hand corner, I'll actually tell you what's wrong, or not to start your engine, if it's flooded, those kinds of things, or if it's overheated, whatever the case might be. Also want to look at all your CAS messages. I would expect to see fuel pressure in the low right now, also oil pressure, voltages, battery, all that stuff. Vacuum's going to be low because obviously the plane is not on, so that's all correct. All right, pull up my checklist here. All right, we're done with all of those. So we're going to go up next and we're going to go ahead and go to battery source. That's going to go to our battery. You also have the option of going to shore power, but we're not going to do that today. And then we're going to go ahead and flip this switch, and that brings up our generator. All right. So, and then again, you're going to see those messages come up here. Everything that you switch will come up on your G1000 there. So this message is going to come up. What you want to do is over in the right-hand corner, you're going to click this far right button. In a real plane, you would check all that, make sure everything's accurate, but we're in the simulator, so I'm not going to do all that right now. I've already got my flight plan in here, so we don't have to worry about that. I did that beforehand. And then once we go for our start, we're going to be watching for our NG to come up and our ITT, and we're going to looking for hot starts and hung starts. So we're going to monitor that carefully here in just a second. All right, battery voltage, we are good. And oxygen. So you have your oxygen modeled up here. You have it for your pilot and passengers. What we're going to go ahead and do is turn that on. That's the pilot's oxygen. And then back here, they even have this modeled. This on the ceiling here is your mask. You actually put it on yourself. You test it just really quickly, and then take it off and put it back up. So you can see the detail of modeling in this aircraft. If you've never used it, it's pretty amazing what they've done. So, all right, come back up here. We're gonna get ready to start. Checking my checklist again. All right, G1000 can go into the composite mode. You just basically hit the red button down here. Aux BP is going to go on position. Oh, there we go. All right. All right, that's starting up the fuel pump. So that's coming alive. Make sure that our propeller area is clear. It is clear. All our doors are closed. And then you can also go over here to the payload and make sure that you have all your covers off and stuff. You'll make sure those are off. So. All right, we're going to go ahead and engage the starter here. So we are going to come up 1001, 1002. You're going to see the messages right here. You're going to start seeing it, the NG start rising. Wait for 13%. And we're going to go ahead and introduce fuel, low idle. You're going to see that continue to come up. We're looking for our hung start and hot start at this point. We're carefully monitoring the ITT. All right, we're looking at the NG. We're looking for 52% right now. All right, bring the throttle up. I don't know why it likes to do that. It should not be in that range right now. Where I wanted it is high idle right there. Whoa. Make sure your brakes are on too. All right. So this control on this plane, I have it modeled to my throttle quadrant here, but It's a little tricky when you manually try to move it. I've had that problem before, so just be careful. What I just did is what you don't want to do, and then obviously make sure that you have your parking brake on. So what I'm trying to do is get it into flight idle right there. So now we're set. So you can start spinning up. Again, what I just did in a real plane would be bad, so try to avoid that. But again, we're in the simulator, so I'm not going to fret about it. All right, everything's looking good. Everything is in the green. So we can go ahead and make sure that our fuel selector is on auto now. Our aux BP can go to auto, and then we want just went from the on position to the auto position, and then our master for our autopilot now comes fully on. So those switches are set. I could have thrown some strobe lights, so we'll throw that, and we'll throw our taxi lights on, and why not, for the fun of it, just so it looks good, we'll throw our nav lights on. So. And our panel, if you want to adjust your brightness of a panel, it's right here. So. All right, back to our checklist. Throttle's good. Engine parameters are good. Battery is good. We are in flight idle finally. And we are in auto, and generator is on main. Bring our G1000 back to normal mode. So just click this button again, and now that's set. AP trim switch is on. Yep, we've done that. Oxygen is on. Not doing radar mode. AC switches and bleeds can go on. All right, so both those are on, and then our fan speed can come up. And you can set your temperature wherever you want it. Altimeter for right now at Halfmoon Bay is 3019. We'll do our same thing for our backup right here, 3019. All right, that is set. Just going through the checklist really quick, making sure I got everything. Trims, altimeter setting, de-icing. Oh, de-icing. So right here, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to turn on the PDOT icing. Stall horn also has icing, anti-icing on it. And then we're going to put our inertia separator on. All right, we are ready for taxi. Taxi light is on. Passengers have been briefed. Parking brake will come off now that we have it set. And nose wheel steering we'll check on the way out. Throttle as required. We'll check our flight instruments on the way out. Check our CAS messages. Make sure that they are good. Yep, we only have our parking brake on right now. Everything is in the green and it's set. All right, so we're ready for taxi. I'm using ForeFlight, by the way. That's why you kind of see me look off to the side here. And 127.275 for ATIS.
Watsonville Muni weather. Wind 290 at 8, visibility more than 10. Sky clear.
Oops.
Temperature 13,
Wrong
dew
one.
point
127.275. 127.275.
San Francisco INTL information Tango. 2200 Zulu weather. Wind 290 at 8, visibility more than 10.
Yeah, we got the right CTAF.
Sky clear, temperature 13, dew point -1/8. Altimeter 3016. Arriving runway 28 left, departing runway 28 right. Advise on initial contact you have Tango.
That's weird. Right now I have the right frequency on 127.275. But it's giving me San Francisco. Alright, well, we'll go to CTAF there. Alright, and take the brakes off. We take the brakes off on here. You do have to hold down the brakes and then hit the parking brake. Alright, we're going to pull back the nose here. Just keep the nose off the ground here. We're in the dirt here. Not where you'd want to be with the TBM. Get back on the pavement here. And we'll check left. Check right. I'll adjust the volume here in a second too, so. So on my throttle quadrant on this one, I've noticed to get into taxi range, I got to pull it all the way back to reverse thrust, so basically beta, and then back up to taxi range. So I'm not sure if I just have to adjust my throttle quadrant differently. Not sure what's going on there, but. All right, check our compass on the way out. Looking good. Instruments are all in the green, looking good there. And this is pretty long taxiway, so we're going all the way down here to runway 30. A little drive-by here. Oh, good. I'm not the only one in the dirt. The BMW is also. Makes you feel better. All right, we're almost to the end of the runway here for 30. Then we can do our pre-flight tech check, and then we'll get ready for takeoff. So again, we're at, if you're just joining, we are at Halfmoon Bay, and then we're gonna fly up the coast of California and fly up to a small airport just off the coast of California via the Sausalito VOR, and that's gonna be at Rohnerville. Yeah, let's see. I could have actually turned back there. Let's see. Let's just spin it right here. If I go all the way down, it's going to take longer, so. See if I can bring the volume up just a tiny bit too. This plane's pretty quiet no matter what, but I don't want to get too loud either. We'll see how that does. If that gets too loud, I'll turn it back down. Oh, I guess there was actually another turn on the taxiway I could have took back there, but anyways, we'll go with this. Just one extra exit down. I want this one right coming up here on the left. Alright, clear left. Brakes a little bit. So this plane can get in and out of, I think it's like 2,200 foot runway lengths, which is pretty amazing for the high performance plane that it is. I think it cruises at a max of 330 knots at 31,000 feet. We're only going to be going up to 12,500 feet today, though. 6 passengers. Pilot takes one of those seats. And I believe it's like 290 gallons of fuel are right in there. And we're going to hang it right here. And then it has 850 shaft horsepower. And it uses the PT6, I believe, A engine. Now we'll come right up here. We'll hold short. Just make sure everything's set. And then we'll be ready for takeoff. Take off to Rohnerville. Alright, brake again. Hold down the brake and then hit the parking brake. It's going to give you a warning when you do that. Alright, we'll make sure everything is set for takeoff. You're looking right here on the G1000 multi-function display. So we're going to go trim for takeoff. And this also has yaw trim. So we're going to do that. And just going to get 1 notch of flaps into takeoff mode. So those are coming down. Everything is in the green, is looking good to go. We've got plenty of fuel for this trip. Just double check all your switches. And we got our strobes on, our taxi light on. We'll go to a landing light at this point. And our generator's on. Auto ignition is set. And auto on the fuel pump. And fuel selector is also auto. And AMP is on. We'll go down here. Our fuel selector is on. Get our coffee ready. Gotta have that coffee for this trip. Our flaps are set. This is where the flaps are. I'm using a throttle quadrant, so I'm not looking down here, but if you're manually setting them, they're right over here. And then your throttle, and then your trim. So, and landing gear is down. All right, our initial separator will stay on. We're set for icing, and our flight plan is in. We are set for our first point, which is Sausalito. We also have that set to go here, and we're on standby. On the real plane, this would actually change as you take off for your transponder, but I've noticed for some reason it doesn't change, or it hasn't changed yet for me automatically. So I'm just going to go to altitude right now. We're not going to be doing any IFR flights, so we're going to leave it there. Then we'll set our autopilot. Autopilot's right here. You can pop it out if you click on it too, but we're not going to pop it out. Yaw dampener will go on after we take off, and it has to come off before we land. I have forgotten a couple times to do that, but that's why you use the checklist. So altitude, again, we're going to bring her all the way up to 12,500 today. We'll set that. All right, then we'll go to vertical speed mode, and She climbs super quick, but I'm going to manually fly her out of here. But we'll set this to 1,500 feet per minute. We should be plenty fine with that. Again, I'm not going to go to autopilot. I'm going to hand fly this out of here. We will be going to nav mode, and then our flight director is right there, is on. Double check everything you got set. You want to come over here, and then I need to make sure I got nav. Okay. So we're in GPS. We got the flight director on, and vertical speed. All right, vertical speed is set, and we're at set for an altitude of 12,500. So we should be set to go there. Flight plan is active. We should be ready for takeoff. I'm gonna double check my checklist. I've gone through my flows. All right, parking brake is on for right now. Oh, throttle. So you want to go to feather mode twice. So right there. Yeah, see, it's a little tricky. Back over. Just be careful when you're doing this check. On the simulator, if you want to really check or skip feather mode, you can do that. But if you want to do it realistically, you should be doing feather mode and doing your checks. One more time. And then back over. But this shows you a good reason why you use a checklist, because I almost forgot to do that. But go through your flows, do what you know, get through everything quick, but then go back and double check yourself with that flight, checklist. All right, de-icing is set. Flight controls, free and correct. It's terrible visibility out of here, so you're not going to really see it. But you can kind of see it on the very corner back there. You could move your head forward too, I guess. Let's see here. Like that. That's pretty much what you got to do. Alright, we already know the passenger's table's up. Our strobe switches are on. All cast messages are good. Fuel switch is checked. We're auto on the fuel pump. Flight instruments are checked. Altimeters are set. Takeoff distances, I know we have enough. And we're going to be taking off, rotating around 85-ish. We'll climb out and gear up after hitting the brakes, flaps up at a safe altitude, and then we'll climb out about 115 knots. And then she'll really start building up speed once we get those flaps up. So. Alright, let's get out of here. Brake's coming off. And hold the brake, hit the parking brake. One last check here. Flaps are set, trims are set. And yaw dampener's off, autopilot is set. So one thing you got to be really careful, and this is true of all turbines, when you bring up that throttle, you don't want to over torque her. So really be careful. Look for, you're supposed to get close to 100%, but be really careful. I usually keep it a little bit under that. So you want to be watching for that. All right, clear for takeoff, and we are heading 344 after takeoff. All right, throttle coming up. Brakes released. And instruments are in the green. Airspeed is alive. Rotate. Don't get too high, about 10%. Positive rate, hit the brakes. Here's coming up. We're going to follow runway heading at first. And on the pitch on this plane, at least in the simulator, she'll get away from you quick. So you really got to, if you're hand flying it, you really got to finesse it. Flaps are coming up. And then we'll start turning towards our flight director and getting on course here. You see that ortho for US Northern? It's just awesome. You can see she just climbs like a rocket ship. This plane's awesome. We'll fly by really quick. Got that ortho too. I love this plane. If you don't have this plane, obviously I highly recommend getting it. Alright, so I'm just monitoring all my instruments. We're going to get up to about 5,000 feet, or then our initial separator can come off. And our yaw dampener I can actually turn on. Alright, so yaw dampener's on. I'll make your life a little bit easier when you're hand flying it too. All right, you got to really control the pitch, so I'm just setting the pitch. I will go to autopilot here in a little bit. This plane is as fun as she is to hand fly. It's just the pitch will get away on you on this thing. It's so slippery. I'm not sure how the real plane is. I don't fly this in real life, but at least in the simulator, it's slippery, and it just, you got to constantly work at it on the pitch. So it's just easier just to go into autopilot once you're, you know, at a good altitude. So, but I'm going to hand fly it for a little bit here. It's just kind of fun to hand fly it. Bay Area over there. Go to a wing mode view really quick. I'm going to do one more flyby. Golden Gate Bridge coming up. In fact, we'll put the nose down a little bit for that, just to get that view, and then we can start climbing out again. I'll do a wing shot here too as we pass downtown San Francisco. So that is 6,600 for 12.5 is what we're going for right now. She also has yaw trim, and the yaw trim works really good. So you can put that in, and then she also has roll trim. So set that, because that's going to make your life easier when you're hand flying this. Once you got everything set, she flies really, really well. So we're about 170-ish indicated, and looking down at my flight here, 189 on the ground speed, so we're cooking already. Go outside view here. There's San Francisco International back there. So this plane, I'm not sure how much it is currently right now, but I believe it's right around $68, $69, but it's well worth it. If you don't have this plane, I highly recommend it. It's a ton of fun. It's probably the best modeled plane in all of X-Plane that I know of. Even some of the big jets and stuff obviously are modeled very well, but for a GA plane, turbine, this is the best probably modeled plane out of any of the planes there. Just the detail that you go into, the maintenance that you have to do on it. It deteriorates over time. You can accelerate that if you want, so it deteriorates very quickly. Or you can leave it on real mode, and over thousands of hours it'll deteriorate. You have to keep the maintenance up, tires, electrical, engine, the whole thing. It also it has persistence, so it remembers what airport you flew into and where you parked it and where all the switches are, every switch. So if you don't set your switches right, then yeah, then that's how it's going to be when you get back in the airplane. If you left the lights on, the lights are going to be on. If you left the throttle in the wrong position, the throttle will be in the wrong position. Anything that you have where it shouldn't be, if you don't shut down correctly, is going to be in the wrong position. All right, out of 10,000, that outside view is pretty neat, so I'm going to stay on that for right now and make sure that we're doing good here, because I'm not on autopilot, I'm still hand flying it. Yeah, look at the ortho down here. Like, how cool is that? Downtown San Francisco, Bay Bridge. Other side over there is Oakland, and then all the way to the right and back of the plane, heading south, that's all Palo Alto, Burlingame, San Mateo. You can see Alcatraz down there, that white island, that's all Alcatraz. Angel Island out there. Mount Diablo way in the back. So the ortho is just outstanding. I go back inside, check our altitude. About 1,000, well, a little over 1,000 feet to go. We're 11.2. And we're a little off course here, but not much. So yeah, you can see after you have everything set how smooth she is. Landing light can go off. Oh, I didn't take my initial. So this is your after takeoff checklist. Climb. We're over 5,000 feet, so that can come off. And everything else should be set. Double check my checklist. Yaw dampeners on, lights are set to where we want them. Coming up on 12,000 for 12.5. Throttle's good. Climb speed is good. The icing is set. And cruise pressurization, we can check. Your pressurization is automated in this plane. Hold on, we're coming up on our altitude, so. And we gotta turn to the left here. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna bring back the throttle a little bit, because she's gonna pick up a lot of speed as I bring this nose down, and you don't want to over torque her. I probably brought the throttle back a little too much, but so you want to be cognitive of that. And I am going to go autopilot on here in a second. All right, let's go autopilot on. Check this: GPS, flight director, yaw dampener, and altitude is set. All right, AMP is on. Then monitor, make sure she doesn't do anything crazy. Right now she's just picking up because we're off course, so that's fine. But that's why you want to double check your ticker tape, I call it up here, but make sure that everything's set as you want it. If you have all of a sudden, you know, your right here. If you all of a sudden have your vertical speed set on and you have it down like 800 feet per minute or something like that, or something set wrong, you're going to be in for a sweet surprise. This thing will just start dropping like a rock, and it doesn't behave like the real plane. I had that happen once. The real plane, if you countered that fully with full back pressure, it would disengage on its own, or you can hit the autopilot button, which I do have modeled now on my yoke. But The autopilot disconnect button will work, but if you try to, at least for me, I tried it already once. If you try to counter it with a hard pull on the stick or something, it's not going to disengage the autopilot. It's going to remain on. So just make sure you have everything checked correctly. All right, bring our wheel back there. And I'm going to bring the sound up just a little more because it's still pretty quiet. Hopefully this isn't too loud. Let's see how it goes. That should probably be good. All right, another flyby. Oh yeah. Outside view. There's the Bay Area in the back there. We're at 12.5 right now. Heading up the coast. All ortho. Yeah, that looks like probably Petaluma down there. Yeah. So this whole area down here is Petaluma, Petaluma Muni. I fly in and out of there a lot. I like that. See how many frames per second we're getting. So I am running Vulkan and X-Plane 11, and I do have the beta 6.1 right now. So running the ortho, streaming, recording my screen, because I'm recording my screen also, we're getting 58-ish, 57 frames per second. That's not bad at all. That's really good, actually. If I probably wasn't recording my screen and doing all that other stuff, we'd probably be hitting the 70s right now. All right, wing view. Actually, let's see what the coast looks like. There we go. I like that view. Yeah. Yeah, coast. Hang out there for a second. Oh, by the way, you know what? While we're back here, let me show you some more features of this plane. So the table comes out. Pretty cool. And then it actually has modeled under here storage cabinets, which is pretty cool. I haven't seen another plane have that kind of level of detail. You just close them by pushing here. Yeah, there we go. And then the door fully works, so you can open the door, and then you can push the button to close the door. All your shade covers work for your windows. And then your lights are up here. All right, we got, let's see, we're doing 246 knots ground speed right now. We got 155 nautical miles to go and 38 minutes to get there, so we are cruising. And that's probably a good speed because we don't want to break 250 under 18,000 feet, or under 10,000 feet, I believe. So, oh, we're at 12.5, so we're good. And I'm getting those kind of speeds at 77% on the torque. So that's how fast this plane is. In fact, you know what? Let's just bring her up a little faster. Get there a little faster. So there, you can find online the full TBM pilot handbook, and it will give you all your data for your torque settings, for altitudes, for weight and balance. So you can do this as realistically as you want, or as little as you want. So I tend to try to do mostly realistic. I won't do every single little thing in the simulator. Some days I will if I'm really trying to practice procedures and that kind of stuff. But the TBM, it's not a plane that I fly in real life. So there might be some things I don't do as far as like going across country and stuff. Going over the exact performance, takeoff data, runway, amount of runway and landing distances and all that kind of stuff. But if I'm in the 172s or planes that I fly in real life, then I will go over that data if I'm really trying to do an accurate flight and just practice for proficiency. It's a great way to use X-Plane, by the way. Yeah, there's a good view. Again, all that ortho, US Northern. And I'm going to bring up Rohnerville and look up the info for it. We're not using real weather, and if we were, that would be bad because it's low IFR there, so that wouldn't be good. We got runway 11 and 29er. Looks like 11's going to be the favorite runway right now. At 6 knots straight down the runway. So we'll have to go up and come back down, right traffic. We'll probably more likely to set up for a downwind entry, right traffic for runway 11. And weather is 133.8. So since we're not mimicking talking to NorCal and I'm not with Pilot Edge right now, I'm just going to put all those frequencies in right now so we're ahead of the game. There's 133.8 and 122.9 is our CTAF. We got that set. I'll just leave it on the ATIS. We'll see if it comes in when we get closer here. So again, just kind of monitor all your instruments on the way there. Everything's looking good. Fuel is looking good. We got plenty of fuel. This is automated, like I said. So right now, as long as you have this switch up here for the fuel selector on auto, then you do not have to mess manually switching your fuel tanks over. Should do another flyby. Oh yeah. See what that lake is coming up right there. That is Clear Lake. So we are over the top of Windsor, coming up to Cloverdale Airport, and then that is Clear Lake off to our right. So 256 knots ground speed right now, 212 indicated, and we're at 12,500 just underneath that. We've been flying for 19 minutes, and we got 31 minutes left to go. Also, for the multifunction display, this is the same on the Cirrus. We fly that, but this panel down here is what controls this multifunction display. Basically, it does the same thing that you're going to do over here, but you're going to do it down here. The nice thing is you have a keyboard, so you can, if you're using your flight plan, I recommend doing it over here, and you can pick the flight plan right here. It'll come up, and your procedures direct to whatever you're going to use. But the nice thing about this is you can quickly type it in, so you don't have to sit there and just turn the dial to do it. Bring it all the way out. See our destination coming up here. Let it load there for a second. There we go. All right, so that's our destination right there, right on the coastline. We're right here. You can see we're crabbed into the wind, so we got a oh yeah, we got a 25 knot wind coming off the coast, off the west there. So that's why we're crabbed in pretty good. You can also change all your other parameters. You can hit system here, go to electrical system. We'll actually show you a graphical visual of that, and then your fuel. So this is kind of neat too, because you can see fuel flow, what you're burning right now, your fuel that you've used, fuel remaining, and then your gross weight. So all that's shown here. Generator. And then you even have a full checklist here. You can go off the checklist here. I use the one on preflight, but you can use the checklist here, which makes it really nice. Emergency checklist. This could actually be handy. So you're flying this airplane and you have an emergency, or you want to practice that, then you can come here, and that would actually probably be an easier place to look through really quickly, as long as you're not trying to use two displays for some reason. So oh yeah, and then you have terrain, airways, just like the G1000 and the other planes, and then you have traffic right here. And then you can turn, by the way, you can turn your topo off and on. So if you want to go to, this is a little bit easier, especially if you're flying IFR and stuff. You can go to this mode, or you can keep your topographic on. Yeah, look at that ortho. Looks so good. All the trees, all the detail. If you're flying just normal X-plane in this, as you guys know, this is really bare. It doesn't look this detailed at all. There's Clear Lake over there. So Vulkan has been good. I've only noticed a couple of problems with it. I don't really get any stuttering with it. I'll get some screen tearing, but that's a noted problem, so they're working on that. And then also some of the switches and stuff when you're inside the plane don't look fully clear. So this isn't my monitor, because on other planes, especially not running Vulkan, this looks a lot clearer, and that's also a known problem with Vulkan. But I can live with that. The frames per second that you're getting outweigh a couple of those things being wrong, and they'll get those fixed soon. Yeah, like we're getting, not being over San Francisco right now, we're getting the 70s. So if I wasn't recording my screen and all that good stuff, then we'd probably be getting 80s, 90s even. Little view of Clear Lake here. Nice wing view. I think it's coffee time. One thing you're gonna notice too is when you, if you're flying this plane, you're getting close to your destination, start planning for your descent, and also to get her slowed down, because it takes a little bit to get her slowed down. She's a fast plane, so does not like to slow down. You got to make her slow down. So let's see, you got some ranges around 3100, 3,800 off 4,000 feet or so. Nice thing about flight 2, you can bring up there's a setting to tell you feet per minute that you need to your destination if you start descending now. So I'm just looking for that. It's actually really handy. You don't have to, you can do the calculations. It's pretty easy to do those in your head, but I kind of like it. All right, descent to destination, that's what it is. So right now, 500 feet per minute. So we can actually start preparing for that. We are 24 minutes out. We are coming over Ukiah right now. I'll stay at altitude here just a little bit longer. And we'll get around 800 feet per minute or so, then we'll start dropping. Keep the efficiency up. Get the descent checklist ready. So just constantly stay ahead of the plane. This is a really fast plane. If you don't stay ahead of her, just like if you're flying, if you guys fly the jumbo jets and stuff, you know how you have to stay ahead of it. Same thing in this, just because it's a GA aircraft, it's a super high performance one. So you got to stay ahead of it just like you would the jets. All right, descent. Fuel gauges I know are correct. Full fuel tank, well, that's automated for us, so we don't have to worry about that. Passengers briefing. They will be putting their table up. We can just do that now, so I don't have to worry about it later. I might have to go back there. Seatbelts are on and passenger table is stowed. For landing, fuel gauges again, we're good there. Full fuel tank, we're good there. Inertial separator will be going on. And landing gear flaps. Landing gear and flaps 178 knots indicated or lower. We'll get our light on here in a few. And then for your landing flaps, it's going to be 122 knots. Approach speed is going to be, I'd say downwind. You want to get her down to, you know, start dropping from 100 or so down to 90. Definitely by midfield, you should be to around your 90s or high 90s. Turning final, base to final 85 or getting close to 85 at least, and that should be your final approach speed. So let's say 90 and then 85 on final. And then I usually drop that last notch of flaps, depending if I'm high or not, on final approach, and I'll drop the first notch of flaps way ahead on downwind. That gets her slowed down really nice and or really nicely. And then also your landing gear will add a lot of drag, so you can get that down to just completely slow her down. If you're not ahead of the if you're not ahead of the airplane, you're gonna have problems. I haven't heard the ATIS come up. And we do have the right frequency, so not sure what's going on there. Counter altitude today will be right around 1,200 feet, 1,193.3. Again, right traffic for runway 11. And we have no NOTAMs. And just checking the airport directory to see if there's anything I need to know. We got a Merle, so we're good there. We'll follow that down. Oh no, Vassie. 3-degree approach. And we do have fuel there. 122.9, yep. Alright, that's all the info we need. And it's marginal VFR there in real life, so good thing we're on fake weather. Let's see, I don't think I have a windshield view set up on this, but up in there. There we go. How is that? That is Willits, California. There's an airport down there too, it looks like. Yeah, maybe right there. Oh no, right here. That's the airport. Yeah, do another flyby. Hold your ears. Go outside view. Yeah, we're about 700 feet per minute and 17 minutes out. So I figure another couple minutes we'll start getting her descended here. Nice California coast there in Northern California. Actually, this airport's really close to... Yeah, Oregon's not too much farther up. Okay, basically got Humboldt right after that. Then what, Reading? Yeah, then you'd be into Oregon after that. All right, about 15 minutes out, and let's start dropping her down. We'll go for about 900 feet per minute. Pull back that torque a little bit. Don't want to over torque her. She's definitely going to pick up speed here. Oops. Reset my altitude. And we'll go down to 4,000. All right, about 900 feet per minute, heading for 4,000. And we are almost right, well, just about a 45 to right traffic runway 11, so we can actually call for that. Again, the only peaks I'm seeing, 3,300, so 4,000 should be good. 4,000 foot peak is going to be on our right, but that's coming up here shortly. Yeah, 4,000 should be good. Then once we hit Garberville, yeah, we'll stay at 4,000. That'll give us an 800 foot clearance. Coming over a couple last peaks, and then when we're short on our 45, we'll start dropping down to our 1,200 foot level. I guess no 80s is going to come up 133.8. I got it set right. Yep, it's all set right. Thought maybe COM 1 wasn't on. Alright, 51 nautical miles out, 12 minutes to go. We'll get her slowed down a little bit more.
Rohnerville weather.
There we go.
Wind 290 at 8, visibility more than 10. Sky clear, temperature 12, dew point -1/8. Altimeter 3016.
Well, it's not what real weather's reporting, so we're
Rohnerville
actually...
weather. Wind 290 at 8, visibility more than 10. Sky clear, temperature 12, dew point -1/8. Altimeter 3016. Rohnerville weather. Wind 290 at 8, visibility more than 10. Sky clear, temperature 12, dew point -1/8. Altimeter 3016.
See what the traffic pattern is for runway 29er.
Rohnerville weather. Wind 290 at 8,
So that's left
visibility more than
traffic.
10. Sky clear, temperature 12, dew point -1/8. Altimeter 3016.
Alright, altimeter is set. coming out of
Rohnerville
8,600 for
Wind
4,000.
290 at 8.
Alright, so we're going to set up for runway 29er instead. It's left traffic pattern, so we're going to, since it's left traffic pattern, we'll go on a 45. I'll come back around, stay to the west of the airport, come back around, and we'll come in on a 45 for runway 29er. Probably put us right out close to over the coast. And there's no obstructions out there. So I talk all this stuff out, by the way, to kind of just give you my thoughts on what I'm going to do, and so you kind of know my thought pattern here as we approach the airport. And when I'm flying for real, this is exactly what I'm thinking. Stay ahead of the airplane, think about your approach, how you're going to do it. Look for any kind of obstructions. You're looking for towers, peaks, obviously power lines, anything on the map that's indicated that you should be avoiding. And since we're using ortho, everything is represented obviously in X-plane. Other than the actual ground, it pretty much will let you just go through things, but if you do it realistically, then you know it's more realistic. And also if you're aspiring to be a real pilot, that's how you should be flying an X-plane. Alright, we're 233 knots across the ground, 9 minutes to go, 37 nautical miles. We'll be making that 45 for left traffic runway 29er now, since we got the wind and we're using fake weather. It's funny too, some of those peaks, like you look out there, look really high, but there's nothing I'm indicating that's higher than, I mean, there's a 4,000 foot, 33, but those are off to the side. And then everything we're going to be making our 45 on is 1,500 feet, with just a couple peaks to the south of the airport that we'll already have passed. Alright, fly by. Alright, and for flight, I'm going to pick my runway here. Got 4,000 feet worth of runway, left traffic. And it's nice because it actually highlights my final approach for me. So it gives you a really good visual on it, situational awareness. And we're at 5,300 going for 4,000. Again, if you're just joining, all ortho XP, US Northern by TrueEarth. It's our altitude coming up. Look at that one peak straight ahead of us. It doesn't look like it, but that's, well, it probably does look like it, but it's 3,379. We're going to be at 4. I'll get this set up too. I don't have it set up like that right now, but I'll get this set up so we can actually see for flight when I'm flying, so you guys can see that. Situational awareness is awesome because like right now it shows me you know, 2,000 feet AGL. It also shows you in details all the terrain. There's that one peak coming up. Also, you can tell, by the way, when you're flying, and this is in real life too, if you look at the mountain ranges and you can see the mountain range coming up behind this range, then you know you're going to clear the current range that you're going at. So that's what you want to pay attention to. Also, make sure that your altimeter is set right, because if your altimeter is not set right, then that can cause problems. And mine was actually off just a little bit, but not too bad. Still going to clear it. So yeah, that just this peak right here just highlighted up on my flight because we're less than 1,000 feet above it. 5 minutes out. Let's go to the back view for a second. Our 200 indicated, 211 on the ground speed. Okay with that right now. We're gonna get her slowed down a lot here in just a minute. I think that was the last biggest peak we had. One peak off to our side. Yeah, so let's bring her down to 3,000, maybe 2,500. And I don't want to get too fast, so I'm going to bring back the torque even more. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to get her slowed down there. We'll try 50% torque right now, see how she does there. Also, if you're using a throttle quadrant with this plane, you got to really finesse it. Don't just jam that throttle or you're going to have problems. Look at this ortho. We're about 600 feet AGL right now. Did it fly by? So if you're in a small single engine aircraft, this would be a great, following this river all the way up. Depending how dry it is and what's going on, but following this dip, I think there's a road, actually. Is that a river and a road? Yeah. So that would be a great safety way of flying through these canyons, is to fly up this, pick that as your flight plan, not just a direct flight plan. That gives you an out if all of a sudden you lose an engine or something. Alright, 6 minutes out, 2 minutes to go. We're going to come off autopilot here in just a minute. 1,000, 2,400. Airport's coming up really quick. Should be right under our nose. Let's see. Should be like right here. Oh, right there. Alright. Perfect. So we're going to go out, swing out here, and we're going to set up for a 45 for runway 29er. Alright, we'll go to heading mode. Not where I wanted to go with heading mode. That's okay. Yeah, we'll be going over to our frequency
weather. Wind 2.
And announcing our approach. Basically, I would have already given like a 10-mile out. Told them I was coming from the south. Right now, I could just say Rohnerville traffic, TBM 900, Tango Bravo, setting up for a 45 for left traffic, runway 29er. That should be pretty good right there. And we do have some terrain coming up, but we're going to scoot out over here, so. And we still got to get her slowed down. Bring her back into the 40 range. Maybe even 35, so I'm going to drop the power here. Alright, start coming around. Also, I can see everything on floor flight. I can see on floor flight better than I can see on the Garmin inside the aircraft, so I tend to use that. If you don't have floor flight, I highly recommend you get it. Alright, start dropping the nose. Altitude. Down to pattern altitude. 1200. Vertical speed. feet per minute. 1200. We're almost to our downwind already. So I'm gonna have to really get her slowed down here. Alright, autopilot coming off. We are already downwind. There's our airport. Although these peaks are kind of in the way here, so I'm going to be a little careful here. Probably could be a little closer over, but alright. Get our flaps down for set. Get her dirty. Lead off some speed. You gotta really trim her out though. That she takes a lot of trim when you start dropping in the flaps. And I just hit this heading indicator to kind of give us a line. I can just look at the opposite when I come in for 29er. All right, watching our speed, dropping into pattern altitude. We're at 2200. I got all these mountains, so 1,000 to go. I'm good with 140 right now. I'll get her slowed down a little bit more in a second. Alright, we can come around. Be an outside view really quick. Not too much though, I gotta fly the plane. So you can see that heading indicator down there? That's what I'm watching. So now I know I'm lined up on base. Extended base. I'm coming around to final. I'm gonna drop in that gear, that landing gear, get her really slowed down here. Pretty fast right now. And that final's gonna come up quick. A lot of trim. Where the heck is... Oh, there it is. Right here. Alright. See, this is the only weird thing that Ortho does. This happens at Placerville Airport, too. Alright. Last notch of flaps coming in. I know fuel tanks are on the fullest. We are on auto. Yaw dampener has to come off. Don't forget to do that. You cannot land with yaw dampener on. Fuel's good. Oh, inertial separator, come on. So you can see there's a lot you got to do, just like in the jets, if you fly those. Or if you're new to flying, just GA high performance turbines. Just stay ahead of it. Alright, I'm really good with 90 on short final here right now. So Rohnerville traffic, TBM 900, Tango Bravo, short final 29er. We'll stop. Alright, I'm bringing the power way back. I don't want to get too slow though. See, it dropped off pretty quick right there. Hit my mic there. Alright, now we're going to start dropping back. We got 3 green, 3 green. Short final, 29er.
Airspeed.
Keeping the nose up. Little bounce. Alright, go back to beta. Slow her down. Looking for 40. Out of beta range. Taxi range. That's it. Clean her up. Flaps coming up. Alright, well, welcome to Rohnerville. We'll find a taxi spot over here and then shut her down. A little bit of brakes here. Clear my right, clear right. Want to run into any other aircraft? Alright, we'll pull right over here somewhere. That'll work right in there. Clear left, clear right. That might be tight spacing for this plane. Alright, we're just gonna kind of make a spot here. There we go. Alright, hold the brake. Parking brake comes on. Gives you an audible warning that it's come on. Alright, switches can all start coming off. Strobe can come off. Navs can come off. Autopilot can come off. Oh, if I can get it to come off. There we go. And turn off our bleeds. Air conditioning coming off. All the icing, de-icing come off. Everything else is good. Oh, and then so you go to flight idle. Hold it there. And then you're going to drop it down to low idle. And you're going to leave it there. Let it spin down. There's a required time that you're supposed to keep it on. I think I'm already past that time, but here. All right, and then just go off, cut off. And all your switches come off. Go and go to manual. Shut the bus bar down. All right, everything's off. Your initial separator can go off. You can go over on your menu over here. Hit your chocks. Open up all your doors. You can manually open them up all too. I'm opening up the pilot, passenger, and cargo. Make sure that you put your wicks on. Also your static covers, and also your caps for engine, which I'll tell you it's going to put that on there after the engine cools down. That's how realistic this plane is. If you don't do all that, next time you come out to the plane, you can have maintenance problems, that kind of stuff. It actually tracks all that maintenance. So you've got to click all that stuff and make sure that it's on. All right. Also, if you fill the plane and you don't put your fuel cap back on, you fill the plane like this, and then hit this button to put your fuel in. If you don't click this and you go take off, you'll exhaust all your fuel. So it's that realistic. All right, we got a nice pilot door on this one, so we can get out. And then we'll close all the doors here. Oh, also, if you sit in the aircraft with the doors closed, you will get too hot. So it'll give you like heat stroke. So it even does that. It's realistic as that. All right. Well, thank you for joining me on that flight today, and I will see you on the next flight.